It's hard to know how to introduce a website like this. Once you start talking science and religion, there's just a lot of crazy ideas. There's a lot of good ideas, but it's a very divisive, explosive topic, and yet it's extremely important. Our core beliefs are a result of these ideas. Even if you look at the stagnation politically in our country today and the polarization, it comes in large part from these issues. So these are important things to talk about, and that's one reason I think this website is important. Now, I'm a statistician, I'm a mathematician. If I'm anything, I'm logical and I attempt to be objective. And I have questioned my core beliefs for the last 25 or 30 years, and they've changed quite a bit because of my investigation. I'm sharing those things as I've discovered with you. Now, I am involved in American academia. I am an instructor. In addition, I'm an American evangelical. Now, I have issues from a mathematical standpoint, a logical standpoint, a compassion standpoint with both of these two camps. And there's people in both camps that don't really like me, and that's okay. I have big problems with American evangelical ideas today, while a lot of the people in the American Christian church are right on and have great hearts and good solid doctrine. There's a lot of people that are promoting ideas that can't possibly line up with their own holy book. They can't possibly line up with reality, and they're pushing a lot of people away from Christianity. It's like Gandhi said, I like your Christ, I just don't like your Christians. And it's important for us to get our story right and for our ideas to line up with reality. And if they can't, there's something wrong with that. And I understand faith can fill the void or whatever, but there's no reason why our ideas can't line up with reality. There's nothing we should be afraid of in the natural world and what we discover in the universe or of the human body or life in general, because if there is a God, and that God is the creator or the designer of this universe, then we shouldn't be afraid of what it is that we find. But again, I have some real issues with some of the ideas among American evangelicals, and I think it's really sad because they're pushing a lot of good people away from investigating a plan, a powerful idea spiritually that can really make life on this planet amazing and really speaks to the legitimacy that there is a life after death. And there are some rules that we play by here, and those will be addressed on this website. In addition to having issues with that side, I also have issues with American academia. We've now been raised for a few generations on the notion of naturalism being taught in schools, and I totally understand the separation of church and state and why that's important. I also don't want people to be duped into thinking that because we're teaching naturalism in schools that we can explain life and the balance of this universe strictly from forces from within our universe, because mathematically and scientifically today in the 21st century you can't. I know that comes as a big surprise to a lot of people, and if you'll continue on this website you'll see what I'm talking about. I can back up these arguments. The issue I have as a mathematician with a lot of people in academia is that they don't understand that as they keep finding things that are absolutely amazing as far as the fine-tuning and the structure and the complexity of life, when they keep attributing these things to random chance, they don't understand how far-fetched that notion is. In the areas of biology and chemistry, we have to hold ourselves accountable to the other areas of science, namely astrophysics and math. Now, it seems like a universe with 100 billion galaxies, which is where we exist, in the known universe, 100 billion galaxies roughly, that seems like a huge universe, and it is, and yet at the same time it's extremely small. It's way, way, way too small to have enough chances at life and at miraculous fine-tuning and amazing coincidences. It's way too small to allow us to be able to attribute all these amazing things that we discover in science strictly to random chance. As a mathematician, it insults my intelligence. What's interesting is there's a lot of biologists out there and geneticists that are obviously great mathematicians. They have a sound understanding of math. And I wish I could convince them to explore a little bit more from a mathematical standpoint, a questioning of some of their core beliefs and what they've assumed to be true as they proceed in their discovery. There's a lot of people in academia that are just teaching biology and genetics without really being on the cutting edge of research, that just go along with the flow and the things that they've been taught. It's very dangerous. One of the biggest questions we address on this site is, how do you explain the existence, the beginning of self-replicating material on planet Earth? And in the 21st century, you can't. And I know a lot of biologists are quick to say, well, we can't explain it, we'll explain it eventually in the future. The problem is, we can't explain everything mathematically and with the laws of physics. We know we can't, but we can rule out a lot of things. And so what you'll discover on this website, and if you'll go continue with the discovery and research and from other sources as far as science goes, is that you're not going to get life on this planet without some sort of force from outside of this universe. Even for us to understand other theories that have arisen as a result of knowing that we're at a dead end with some of these other physical laws, if we're going to study M theory, which Stephen Hawking subscribes to, we're going to have to either ourselves or through other people that we trust have a strong understanding of mathematics to be able to ascertain whether or not we should trust those theories. So at any rate, I hope that you'll watch the videos on this website objectively. I think most of us in this country want to live our lives with integrity. We're not afraid of what we might find as we do research. We're not afraid that maybe our belief system is in some way in error. We should live with that kind of integrity. I hope most of us feel that we should treat other people with integrity and dignity. Again, I see some real concerns coming out of evangelical America with regard to a violation of that type of love, that type of Christ-like behavior, and it turns a lot of people off, and I think it's really unfortunate. I think we're on the verge of doing some horrible things to a lot of people if we allow those types of mindsets to be perpetuated. So there's a number of reasons why we should want to investigate the kinds of issues that we deal with here on this website, not the least of which is if there is a life after death, and if there's been information presented to us that clearly comes from a source from outside of our space-time dimension, then we should be investigating this. I tell some of my students, that I see kids grow up in the education system without a value on education. They have a hard time believing that the education that they can get and the development of their cognitive abilities is going to help them to have a better job and a better career and a better life as adults. There's some people in their teenage years that they just can't fathom that, so they poo-poo education and doing the things they need to do as young people to prepare for their next life, their adult life. And I would make the analogy that this life compared to the life after this, if there is one, what's more important in this life than to answer the question, is there a life after death? And if there is, what are the rules that govern this game? And as you see on this website, there is a clear plan that's been given to us from a source outside of our space-time dimension. I know when people hear that, it's like, ooh, I know that sounds far-fetched and crazy, but put me to the test. Watch these videos. Look at the videos on signs and prophecies. Look at the videos on science. And there's one big video. Most of the other videos are 5, 6, 7 minutes long, and they just take little topics one at a time. You can find them in our video library, and so as you have time you can look at those. There's one big video that's on this site. It's on the home page. I call it The Message, and it's what I have found to be true in my investigation. It is a religious thought, it's a scientific thought, it's a thought about reality and life that lines up with reality, and so far from what I can see, it doesn't violate any law that we see in existence or any scriptural teaching or that sort of thing. So if you're interested in finding out why is there so much pain and suffering in this life, that is included amongst other things in that video. I would encourage us that if our creed, if our ideals don't really line up, if there's don't really line up with reality and all the scary things that we see in this life, then we know that we haven't found the complete answer if that's the case. So we keep investigating. Hopefully we keep challenging ourselves. And again, welcome to awefactor.net. We hope that you'll take the time to look at these videos, and we hope that it'll be life-changing for you and others. So thank you for your time.